Today's training is on the Clery Act and Campus Security Authority training. My name is Allison Jean, and I am the Manager of Accreditation and Compliance, and I work at the University of New Hampshire Police Department. In today's class, we will cover what is the Clery Act, what are the risks with non-compliance, what exactly does the Clery Act have to do with your position, and what you can do to help keep the university in compliance with the Clery Act. So what is the Clery Act? The Clery Act is an act that came out of a murder that occurred on April 5th, 1986. It was developed after the death of 19-year-old Jean Ann Clery, who went to Lehigh University and was raped and killed in her dorm room by a fellow student who she did not know. Originally named the Jean Clery Disclosure of Campus Security Policy and Campus Crime Statistics Act of 1998, there have been several additions through the years. The most recent addition was in December of 2024, when the name was changed simply to the Jean Clery Campus Safety Act, and the crime of hazing was added to the reportable crimes. The following video will give you a quick overview of the Clery Act and how you can help our agency stay in compliance.
Your institution has partnered with the National Association of Campus Safety Administrators to present this training. Today's tutorial covers the Clery Act. The Clery Act was established in the 1990s after Lehigh University student Jean Clery was raped and murdered on campus. The Clery Act requires your institution to collect, report, and publish information about your safety and fire policies and procedures. Crimes that occur on campus, near campus, and at certain off-campus locations, and fires that occur in student housing facilities. This is not limited to crimes and fires reported to the campus police department. In reality, crimes may be reported to other institutional representatives the reporter knows and trusts, such as you. You have been assigned to this training because your institution has identified you as a Campus Security Authority, that is, CSA. According to the Clery Act, CSAs include designated officials or offices to whom crimes should be reported and officials with significant responsibility for student and campus activities. This last category makes up the vast majority of the CSAs on campus. Mental health and pastoral counselors are CSAs, but they are not necessarily required to report crimes if they receive the information while performing their duties. If you fall into this category, please check with the campus police department to determine whether you are required to comply with the CSA reporting requirement. You are not a CSA if your job has no student involvement outside the classroom. Now that you have been identified as a CSA, you must report to the campus police department any Clery Act crime allegations made to you. Remember, you are not an investigator, so you do not need to determine whether what is reported to you is true. You simply need to forward the information to the campus police department and let the experts conduct the analysis and investigations. In addition to this video, you will be provided with a reporting mechanism. Some institutions request that you report the statistics via email, whereas others maintain a website through which you can report the information. If you did not receive the reporting mechanism when you were enrolled in this course, please contact the campus police department to obtain this information. Clery Act crimes include stalking, dating violence, robbery, and sex offenses. Here is a more complete list. CSAs must report Clery Act crimes to the campus police department if the crimes occur on campus, on public property within or immediately adjacent to campus, such as sidewalks, or on certain non-campus properties. Non-campus properties include properties owned or controlled by the institution or registered student groups. The Clery Act also applies to study abroad programs and institution-sponsored short stay-away trips, if these include a written agreement for housing that is frequently used by students. For this reason, you must report crimes that occur at these housing facilities to the campus police department. In summary, you must report to the campus police department all crime allegations known or made to you. You must at a minimum provide the campus police department all relevant information to classify and investigate the crime. If the person does not want to report the crime to the campus police department, tell them that you must report the incident as an anonymous statistic. but you will not identify anyone involved. Please remember that in certain circumstances, the institution may override the confidentiality request to meet its Title IX obligations. You should inform the individual telling you about the offense of this possibility. Remember that the Clery Act applies regardless of the victim's affiliation with the institution. Therefore, they could be a student, employee, or visitor, as the law applies to all such individuals. The institution is required to evaluate every Clery Act offense and determine whether a threat to the campus population exists. If the institution determines that a threat exists, it must issue a timely notification or emergency alert to the entire campus community. CSAs cannot make a determination regarding whether a threat to the campus population exists on their own. Your institution's policies identify the people responsible for making this determination. Therefore, you must notify the campus police department of any Clery Act offense that you are made aware of. Other CSAs may be aware of additional information that you do not have. Your information combined with other CSA's information may cause the institution to decide that a timely warning is warranted. Your institution is also required to report all fires that occur in student housing facilities. A fire is defined as any instance of open flame or other burning in a place not intended to contain the burning or in an uncontrolled manner. This regulation only applies to fires that occur in student housing facilities. If you are made aware of the fire that has occurred inside a student housing facility, please notify the campus police department immediately. Thank you for taking the time to complete this tutorial. Remember, this was a brief overview, not an in-depth examination. For more information about the Clery Act, please contact the campus police department.
So what exactly is the Clery Act? The Clery Act is a consumer protection law. Some of the requirements of the Act include providing campus crime data, support for victims, and also speaking on policy and procedures. For campus crime data, it requires all colleges and universities who receive Title IV funding to share information about crimes on campus during the previous 3 calendar years. It also requires university and colleges to provide the reporting party of a sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, or stalking incident with options such as change of academic classes, transportation, living quarters, or working arrangements, and assistance in notifying the local law enforcement agency should that person desire to do so. It also provides both parties in a campus disciplinary process certain rights. It also requires colleges and universities to outline specific policy and procedures within their annual Fire and Security Report, which is published by October 1st of each year. So what would be some of the risks if the University of New Hampshire was non-compliant with the Clery Act? Well, currently, the financial burden would be a fine of $71,545 per infraction as of 2025. Earlier, the fine used to be $27,000, and starting in 2019, the rate for fine has jumped up considerably, approximately $2,000 per year. And when you have an audit come in and do an inspection of your files, they check the past 7 years, and the fines can tend to add up and be a significant issue for the college or university. There is also the possibility of Title IV funding being lost. So that means your student federal aid, scholarships, and grants would no longer be available to students who attend UNH. This is rare, but obviously crippling to the university and to the students who attend your campus. Lastly, and most importantly, is the damage caused to the university's reputation. When thinking of non-compliance, having a university in media outlets and people talking about the fact that they didn't report rapes or they allowed certain things to happen on your campus is not where you want to be seen. So this kind of reputation can be devastating to the university's attendance records. With non-compliance, when we think about publicity, violations lead to unflattering news reports, and it brings doubt to future students and employees as to their safety on your campus. and it will cause irreparable harm to the university's reputation and brand. Some recent cases that it has experienced this kind of damage to the reputation include Michigan State University. The college and university was fined $4.5 million in the Larry Nassar case, where the doctor was sexually assaulting the gymnastics students and people who were responsible employees who should have reported this kind of information neglected to do so. The University of Montana was fined nearly $1 million for Clery Act violations, and also Penn State got significant fines in connection with the Jerry Sandusky case, which dealt with a football coach sexually assaulting minors in the football locker room. Here are a few of the different fines that have been given to different universities over the past 15 years. If you look at 2010, you'll notice Liberty University had a Clery audit where they were fined $165,000 and were given certain things that they needed to do to come into compliance with the Clery Act. Fast forward to 2024, at the bottom of the list, you'll notice Liberty University has again recently been audited by the Department of Education, and it was determined that they were not doing what was required of them and were continuing to have significant issues. And you'll notice the fine is significantly higher in 2024, going at a rate of $14 million in fines to the university, with the risk of losing financial aid for those students. If you notice in between, there's several different fines for different colleges, and the fine amounts continue to grow with each year. So it is very important as a campus security authority that we get this correct, that we report crimes that are Clery crimes so they can be evaluated for timely warning notification, for inclusion in crime statistics, and for inclusion on the daily crime log. So what does the Clery Act have to do with you? You have been identified as a campus security authority, also referred to as a CSA, under the Clery Act because of your function at the University of New Hampshire. Campus security authorities are defined as officials who are designated with significant responsibility for student and campus activity. Being an official is defined as any person who has the authority and duty to take action and respond to particular issues on behalf of UNH. Therefore, as a CSA, you are obligated to report crimes and on-campus fire safety issues if your campus has housing to the office designated to collect crime statistics. For the University of New Hampshire, this office is the UNH Police Department Clery team. At the end of this training, there will be a slide with the contact information of the people you can report crimes to remain in compliance. The next set of crimes that you must report on are considered the VAWA crimes, which is the Violence Against Women's Act. This includes the crime of sexual assault, dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking. In New Hampshire, they do not recognize dating violence because the dating violence definition falls within the domestic violence. So you'll notice when reporting statistics out that it will say NA for dating violence because everything is captured and placed into the domestic violence bucket. The last section that we must report crimes on include violations, and these are your weapon law arrest or disciplinary referral for a weapon violation. This is not to be confused with a university weapon violation. Drug law arrest and disciplinary referrals, and liquor law arrest and disciplinary referrals. So anytime you're referring people to your conduct office for any of these, it also must be reported into your Clery division so that we can make sure that those statistics are recorded appropriately. The next important section in Clery is the Clery geography. Where is the Clery Act applicable? The 4 categories where we must report statistics include your on-campus property, non-campus property, public property, and within the residence hall if your college or university has residence hall. And we'll go deeper into these in the next slide. What exactly is non-campus properties? Non-campus property is defined as any building or property that is not part of the campus and does not fit the definition of a separate campus. It needs to be owned or controlled by the University of New Hampshire. It needs to be used in direct support or in relation to the university's educational purposes, and it should be frequently used by students. It includes any building or property which is owned or controlled by a student organization that is officially recognized by the University of New Hampshire. For example, a remote classroom that is non-contiguous could be considered a non-campus property if students regularly attend classes there and we have a lease agreement. What exactly does educational purposes mean? In a nutshell, it's any location used by university students. It could be used for classes or housing. It could be a place where internships are completed. It could be a study abroad location. It could be locations off campus used by clubs and student organizations. It could be places where people attend job or work study. It could include places to play sports, including hotels where teams stay overnight. It could be a skiing mountain where we lease space so that the ski team can practice and hold events. It could be places to access campus services like parking lots that we rent space at, housing, counseling centers, or health services. These are all locations that are educational purposes that would count under the Clery Act. Clery defines public property geography as real estate, roads, and sidewalks within the campus boundaries owned by the state or the town with which the campus is in. So it could be the town of Durham. An example would be Main Street, Garrison Ave, Edgewood. It can be the roads in front of Commercial Street down at UNH Manchester. So it's those roads that abut the area of your university surroundings. It could include publicly owned parking lots. It includes public waterways or parks. So if you think of the Isla Shoal or the Judd Marine Lab, those areas have the ocean, so we'd have to go a mile out and report any crimes that occur in that area that is bordering those campus locations. It, however, does not include privately owned property or businesses. The next part of the Clery Act that's very important for you to understand is the issue of timely warning and emergency notifications. Part of the Clery Act requires the University of New Hampshire to send out notifications during incidents that are ongoing or pose a continuing threat to the community. So in defining a timely warning, the intent of the Clery Act is to inform the campus community of a serious crime and or continuing threat and incidents that occur on your campus. A key aspect of this is providing a timely warning, which is a mass notification that is sent out in a timely manner that will hopefully aid in the prevention of similar crimes occurring to your campus and to your community. These timely warnings are sent through the UNH Police Department Dispatch Center to all staff, faculty, and students who have a UNH email. Timely warnings automatically are sent to students, faculty, and visitors who are issued a UNH email address. However, most people would like to receive this information via text messaging and can go ahead and elect to receive text message timely warnings by going to www.alert.unh.edu, and it will give you the option to add your cell phone number and sign up for those alerts to be reported to you on your phone via text. Timely warnings can also be distributed by directed communications, social media outlets such as Instagram or Facebook, and will always appear on the UNH webpage and also the UNH Police webpage. Occasionally, it will also go out through your local news and media. Generally speaking, when UNH puts out a timely warning, WMUR posts that on their website as well as on their news broadcast. The timely warnings for the University of New Hampshire are issued by the UNH Police Department via email, text, and social media. We count on you to notify the police department immediately for crimes that may require notification to our community members. Timely warnings typically include information about a situation, a crime, hazard, emergency that are an immediate threat to the UNH students, staff, faculty, and guests. In the timely warning, a general time and location of the incident will be mentioned. Suspect information may be included if it's available, and tips and resources for campus community to aid in their general safety and the prevention of similar crimes will be included in the timely warning notification. So how can you help? Well, that's simple. Be a partner to the police department, calling us immediately when you receive notifications of crime happening in your area. There is no requirement that you notify your supervisor prior to calling the UNH Police Department. In fact, it is recommended that this should be your first call so that we can evaluate the crime in a timely manner and determine if it needs to have a notification sent to keep others safe. Make sure you ask the correct or proper questions and get as much specific information about the location as possible. The location matters in how we record the information. Whether the incident occurred inside or outside a building could be important, depending if it's a residential building or academic building, as there are different categories of reporting. If the incident happened on the street in front of a building, that might be a different reporting category. So being specific and getting that information is very helpful to the Clery compliance team at the University of New Hampshire. You also don't need to determine if the crime is big or serious enough. We just ask for you to go ahead, call us, report the information, and we will take it from there. Also noting the date and time that the incident was reported to you, as well as gathering information as to the date and time that the incident may have occurred. Sometimes people will not know the exact date or time, but they may be able to tell you it was a certain month or a certain semester, and they may be able to tell you if it was daytime or nighttime. Include all that information, because the more we have, the better able we are to mirror up all the information that we get from different reporting agencies to ensure that the university is not overcounting and that we're capturing each crime and the location and the time that it happened. Lastly, call the UNH Police at 603-862-1427 and report the incident so that it can be assessed for a timely warning notification. What does the UNH Police do with the information that you provide? When we receive the information, we ensure that an investigation of any crime is conducted and that each report is assessed to determine if an emergency notification or a timely warning is appropriate. Not every investigation will require court action, and the victim can remain anonymous or decline prosecution at any time if they choose. We do compile a Clery crime log, which is completed daily and can be viewed by the public during normal business hours by simply coming to the UNH Police Department and asking to see the Clery crime log. This log provides the date, time, and location of the incident. It also provides the date and time the incident was reported to a campus security authority. It does not give any information about the victim, the witness, or the suspect's name. All Clery crimes must be reported to the Clery Division within 2 days, as it needs to be on the log for view within 2 days of a campus security authority being made aware of a Clery crime. From here, we compile the statistics from each of the crime categories, which are tabulated in the university's annual security report, and also We transcribe this information to the Department of Ed website where people can go online to see the crime statistics for the university. Some key takeaways that I hope you got from today's training is to remember that you are an employee of the university first, then advisor, and then friend. You should always make sure your residents, students, employees understand your role as a mandatory reporter for Clery compliance. When reporting something, call the police first and then follow all other protocols. Let the police and Clery team decide if a crime has occurred. Clery does not require that every crime is prosecuted, but every crime must be reported and documented. If you're in doubt, always call the UNH police and report, and we can always decide not to include it if it's not necessary. Remember that we are all responsible to make sure our university is in compliance to protect our brand, to protect our student, our staff, our faculty, our town community, and the many visitors that come to campus on a regular basis. Most of the universities who receive large Clery-related fines had campus security authorities who had knowledge of crimes occurring on their campus and neglected to report the criminal activity. Thank you for participating in today's training. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact any of the 3 Clery compliance team members. My name again is Allison Jean, and you can reach me at allison.jean@police.unh.edu, or you can reach out to Christine Lavecchio or Kevin Sayre, or you can call us directly at 603-862-1427